the notion of roots, and well, we'll talk about that next time, but the trees and graphs aspect that we discussed above, and the depth first search that I alluded to is part of what we would have done anyway. But the bottom line is we won't have time to do an extensive amount of genetic programming prior to next Tuesday's quiz. Okay, that's the bottom line. Okay, so if you're wondering, well, are we ever going to make it up? So as I mentioned to you, I have a sort of an extra built-in variables that allow for more extra material. And ignore the syllabus, but I want to keep the same structure. So please keep in mind that whatever material we finish with on Monday, and Monday we want to go through Goldberg's template, so whatever, and if we have time, we'll start the genetic programming. I think we will have enough time to start it. We may not have enough time to finish it. But whatever it is, whatever Monday's topic is finished, that's quiz 2, period. Okay, and then the review and the quiz 2, and the review and quiz 2 will be done on Tuesday, with the possibility that I may spend a little time in the beginning of Tuesday finishing up a topic on Monday, but that whatever that is, that'll be considered part of the next material, not part of the quiz. All right, so we've done that before. We've done that dance before, they say, and I just want to keep point that out to you so you're aware of what's coming up. Okay, good. Let's get back to the notes. So we have here. So classic GA researchers resist deviating from Goldberg's template. That's what clicked in my mind, because we're doing the template on Monday. Because again, I don't think we'll have time today. Classic GA researchers resist deviating from Goldberg's template whenever possible. Whenever possible. As such, they will not tolerate, they will not allow for the incorporation of respectful operators. They won't. All right, but you'll ask, but doesn't that help it along, right? Oh, I'm sorry, there's a question here, I apologize. Purbo asks the following: would it be possible to extend the due dates of today's assignment? I'm sorry, I was asked that last week, and I really do not enjoy being the bad guy, being the one always being tough. It's just not my nature. I just found it's not good for me to start making exceptions. So I've been resisting giving the ability to have any exceptions. For those students who I tell you, no, I can't make an exception, trust me. Well, you don't have to. Don't trust me. But I'm telling you, I truly believe it hurts me to do so. It's not like I enjoy power control, telling students not. I was a Queens College student. I do understand what you're going through, but we do. What today? We have 4 things due today. What's due today? Remind me. All right, that's a different story. If you tell me if it turned out by accident, put in too many deadlines today. Let's see what we have. Okay, I'm looking at the syllabus. Give me 2 seconds. It says here, where is it? Oh, July 12th, 2027. We only have 1 video. Oh, 2 the videos, you mean? Oh, the videos, you mean? The research paper? What are you talking about, Mohammed? What? Research paper? Well, what obligation do you have about your research paper? I'm not sure what you mean. Anyway, the research paper, even if there's any obligation, at most it's not to hand it in. It's just to tell me, oh, really? I'll double check. Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Someone else pointed that out, and I forgot to look it up. Okay, pause. Yes. Apparently, I posted something to do with the research paper, which has a deadline today. All right, and I don't think it's what I'm asking you is going to be so trivial. Well, okay, fine. All right, let me do the following. Let me not confuse you. There's nothing all right. The research paper, which don't do. I will move that because it's so trivial and it's confusing you. It wasn't meant to be it's meant to be a requirement, but it's not meant to be any given date. I'll move it up a little bit because but let me rephrase it. I wanted to give you a deadline by which all students should have sent me 3 papers that follow the criteria I discussed yesterday, and we should be beginning to select the paper that you're going to do by 2 weeks from now, or whatever the deadline is, 10 days from now, in terms of the PowerPoint. So I put on Blackboard a deadline to force you to submit the research papers. That's what I wanted you to submit on the Blackboard is not actually your research paper. It's after you gave them to me and after you were approved, then you were supposed to submit the assigned paper. So we have a copy posted or listed that I can access at any time, which is your paper and your bibliographic reference once they are approved. Don't do that yet. So there's a danger with me pushing it off, which I don't mind, because it's a trivial thing. You don't have to write anything. All you have to do is, once you're assigned, load the PDF, and then load the bibliographic reference, which you had to do by submitting anyway. So there's a danger with me pushing it off in that students are going to think they don't have to submit their suggested research papers. So to make life simple, I will make notes myself to say change the date of the submission. All right, so change date of research paper, quote unquote, submission. That's not, you don't have any work to do, you just have to upload the paper, but don't do it yet. So let's do the following. All right, so let's make an absolute deadline. Fine. By Sunday evening, so don't wait till the last minute, by Sunday evening, I would like every student to resolve with me what paper they're going to be assigned to do the PowerPoint on. Then, having resolved it with me, then you're able to upload the one PDF, which is your assigned paper, and upload the in the text only the bibliographic reference. That was, quote unquote, the assignment that Blackboard had. It's not to hand in the PowerPoint, which will have a totally different upload towards the end of the semester, which we'll deal with. All right? So I'll change it to Sunday, which is the 18th. That's fair enough. Okay, so let's do one thing at a time. So are we done with the, okay, Mohammed, you wrote last. You just don't worry about it. One thing at a time. I only want to do with one thing at a time. Are we done discussing the research paper uploads regarding Blackboard? Let's deal with that, and then we'll move on to the next. Yes. 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 Well, Waleed, perfectly stated, correct. Yes. That's it. You send it not to Blackboard. You email from your QMail to the class email, cs381projectsqc@gmail. As I've said, it's hard to download from Blackboard. You don't realize. Maybe it's easy for you. It's not easy for professors. It's hard to download. From Gmail, it's easy. I won't get into it. I have a script. It's easy to download all of your papers that you send me at one time from Gmail, which is not in Blackboard. So that's why first we resolve it on Gmail to the class Gmail. Once you have it assigned, approved, then you could upload, but don't do it yet because I want to change the date first. And if you start uploading, it may not allow me to change the date. That's correct. The body of the email should be for each of the one reference to that paper, and it has to be complete. I gave you the Harrow example, so please find the journal name and year and publication, etc., in that body, and do not send them separate emails. All three PDFs attached to that one email. Yes, Monet, that's correct. Okay, so one last time. Okay. Yeah. So Anna, what you're going to submit once you're approved. Okay, but don't do it today because I want to change. Don't do it before 3 o'clock. After 3 o'clock, well, it may disappear. Okay, I'll let it visible from now till Sunday night, midnight, Sunday, the end of the day. So don't do it till we finish 2. So give me till 3 o'clock. Don't upload till 3 o'clock. 25% of you have been approved already. So. And to answer Anna, you're going to get you have to have emailed me your 3 choices. Hopefully those are reasonable choices, and I will apply which one you're assigned. Again, no 2 students can have the same paper, and that sometimes happens. But so far we were good. The last, say, 25% of the class was fine. And then, Anna, once you've been approved, you upload the PDF where the PDF is required, or it says so, and you upload the reference in the other spot where it says so. The reference you just type into the body in the text box. The paper requirement, you just upload the one PDF. Okay, Anna, does that explain? but you have to wait till you're approved, and then even if you were approved, please don't do it before 3 p.m. today. Okay, so that is the case of the Blackboard. I'm sorry. You can Waleed. Oh, I always assumed. Yeah, I always assumed that the order that you list them is your order of your preference. But Waleed, you have to understand. Yeah, I've been always following that for for all students who've been submitting to me. But you have to understand, innocently. Yeah, that's fine. Right. So well, anyway, if Muhammad, I responded to you. Was it good? You happy? Let's not split hairs. If you've been assigned already, you've been assigned. Okay? You can ask that. The problem is there are two major requirements, multiple requirements. I first have to find out that your papers have the same ingredients that I wrote in the notes yesterday. Then I have to check that your paper has not been already assigned, right? And I last checked, believe it or not, on your behalf, that it's not so by accident. Some students submitted really long papers, and I didn't choose it for them because I don't think they realize what they're getting themselves into. So I sometimes do that as well. But yeah, you reasonable request. Just understand, if you don't get it, it's not because of you, whoever you are. It's because the list of papers, I have to compare them to everyone else's list of papers. Yeah, good. Okay, so that's the list of papers. The only other thing, but I don't want to spend too much, the videos assignments. Give me 1 second. All right, so there are two videos assignments, both due the 15th, which apparently is today. All right, we'll take a vote. One of them I'm going to stick till today. So very quick vote. One of them will push off for a day or two, but not much more. Okay, one of them are due today, and one of them is due by Saturday night. So let's take a vote. Very quick vote. The two. I only want one word. Well, the word is either genetic for the amoeba sisters or GA for the portion that's for the the algorithm portion. So both sets of videos, part one or whatever. Oh, no, hold on. Stop. In the case of the, hold on. No, you almost got me. I changed the requirement for the undergrads that all you had to do is 75 definitions. Yeah, so I'll do the following just out of consideration. I don't really think it's necessary, but out of consideration, I will. All right, fine. I will, to be nice, I will reset the deadline by Saturday night. But don't waste your time, okay? I'll reset both of them. I don't want to start, battling it out with the students. I'll reset both of the videos to Saturday night, okay? So that's what we'll do. I'm not sure. I know what that face is, but I'm not sure how to answer what that means. But okay, okay. I think it means okay. All right. So let me. These notes, I don't like to say things and not follow through, so change the date of the research paper to the choosing of the research paper, not the doing of the paper, but the choosing of the research paper to July 18th, and I'm writing these notes to myself, and extend due dates for first installment. We don't have this luxury. We do not have these luxury for the second set, unfortunately, so you've been forewarned. The registrar keeps telling us that the faculty have very few days to submit all grades in the summer session. Please understand that. So unfortunately, the end of the semester, we can't do this dance again, as I say. Please make those, you have to assume those dates are absolute. And I'm sorry, the July is a terribly condensed semester, and I know that, but there's nothing we could do. My hands are really tied. I don't have much time at all to submit dates after the final. Extend due dates for first video installments to end of July 17th. Okay, I wrote it all down. So after today, between 2 and 3, I'll reset everything. All right, Mohammed asked, 7 is due at the end of the semester. Oh, is that true? Ha! Oh! Ha! I got fooled again. All right, but I said it, so I won't change it. Correct. You are correct. I was feeding on the fact that some student above in the chat said it. I didn't remember that we changed it already. Okay, but I will change my mind. Anyway, all right, so apologize. video, the Amoeba Sister video is only relevant, the deadline's only relevant to the grad students. The undergrads have till the end of the semester, so that's no difference. But again, since I said it, I won't change it. But the case of the genetic algorithm videos, since I said it, I won't change it. It'll be extended to July 17th. Okay? Yep, very good. Oh, yes, I did. Jingu. Let me write that down. I woke up this morning early and I said to myself, I know, I meant to. Sorry, correct. I'll write that down, Jingu, and I'll do that also by 3 o'clock. Thank you. Guidelines. Thank you. I wrote them up. I just didn't have a chance to email you. So thank you, and I wrote that down. Okay, what else? Correct. Oh, okay, you're helping him. Thank you, Hamad. All right, let's go back on track now. I think we went through enough deadlines. No, Upper Bow. Not today, because I extended it, but the first installment of the Sadawi, as Hamad just said, applies to you as well. That has been extended to the 17th. You don't have to do it today, but you did have that part, so that is required. It's just we extended it from tonight. I'm extending it by 3 o'clock. I will. We'll have to need some time to change it in Blackboard and for the change to take effect, but that will be 17th instead of 15th. For undergrads, Anna, they are due by the end of the semester. That's why I sent you an updated syllabus. So the updated syllabus for the undergrads doesn't look the same for the grads. And that's the only difference, by the way, the videos. Everything else is the same. Correct. No. The 75 definitions? The 75 definitions have to be done in Excel. It's not Word assignments, it's an Excel assignment. Unless you need 75 keywords, yes. It says that it's due tonight, Mohammed? Oh, because, yeah, I forgot. Oh, it was meant only, okay, I apologize. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm going to change it. Give me till 3 o'clock, it'll clean itself out. Okay, Mohammed? Give me till 3 o'clock, it'll clean itself out. Yeah, ignore it for now. Let's get out. I got all your comments. I wrote them all down. I need till 3 o'clock to clean it up. Thank you as well. You had every right to mention it, and I'm glad you did. We resolved what we needed. I just want to continue. All right, so classic GA researchers, thank you all. Okay, classic GA researchers resist deviating from Goldberg's template whenever possible. As such, they will not allow for the incorporation of respectful operators. However, you will ask the following question, but don't respectful operators actually help? Okay, whether yes or no, but intuitively you think they do. You could argue that not necessarily giving tougher heuristics means better solutions, but intuitively people used to ask, but don't respectful operators help the convergence process? Right, to that extent, it's sort of true, because we're not saying convergence to what, but as long as you're requiring them to be permutations, you have a much better shot. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to allow an infeasible solution. Okay, so to this they answer the following, and I quoted half of it before. Let's quote it again. So, as I have heard from Michael Enschel, an esteemed professor at City College, as I have heard in a discussion I had with him a number of years ago about genetic algorithms, as I have heard from Professor Michael Enschel, the classic researchers argue that as long as you have a sophisticated enough, and we don't have time to discuss it, there are websites dedicated totally to this one issue, that as long as you have a sophisticated sophisticated enough, in other words, whatever level you need, quality-wise, random number generator. So that part we discussed, and I mentioned Michael said that. And here's the second part, and you incorporate well-designed penalty functions, not the ones that we're discussing today, but the ones I discussed with you when we talked about soft constraints, right, where you can change a constrained problem to an unconstrained problem, right? The penalty function is about how close or how over are you from the constraint boundary. And you incorporate appropriate well-designed, well thought out, well-designed penalty functions, penalty and profit functions, and or the assumption is that those will compensate any need you feel, I don't know what the word should be, will compensate any extra consideration, that's a better way of saying it, any extra consideration you would like to acquire of the crossover and or mutation operators, such as respectful. So the classic researchers don't just simply say, I'm a traditionalist, don't touch it. They say, I'm a traditionalist and don't touch it because I have a solution that's within the classic tradition. That's what they're saying. Such as respectful. Okay, understand that's the difference. They're saying by incorporating, a sophisticated enough random number generator, right, and incorporate a well-designed, appropriate, well-designed penalty or profit functions. So if you have that, they argue that should take care of any need or drive that you have to incorporate other constraints or other operators into the problem. Okay, so that's what classic people say. Okay, we soften this a bit. So then we have to differentiate between what's called hybrid and adaptive operators, or GA. Hybrid GA versus adaptive GA. Someone has a comment. Okay, good. Shank says, doesn't it limit the potential to explore compared to relaxation? Right, so, okay, Shank, so you're arguing, well, yeah, so which way? Not the classic way. You mean respectful, Shank, right? Shank, you're referring to respectful, or am I misreading? Right. Yeah, so that's the classic argument, absolutely. That's the classic argument against respectful, part of it, absolutely. That's what I was hemming and hawing, as they say, on line 72. There is an assumption that respectful operator, the camp, has, which is that this will help the convergence. So that's a heuristic. No one proved it, but they intuitively think so, which is the flip side to what you're saying, because, you see, whether you're 5 point, what's going to boil down is, do you consider non-permutations? Do you consider the duplication of numbers and the omission of numbers in your sequence, in your quote-unquote permutation sequence? Do you view that as, how hard or how soft do you view that constraint? Because as long as you're in the realm of soft constraints, then relaxation makes sense. Once you're pushing the measure towards hard constraints, then relaxation doesn't really make sense because it's too hard to recuperate, to come back. So that's what it's going to boil down to. Is the respectful requirement of permutations, is that closer to the soft constraint or is it closer to the hard constraint? In which case, obviously they argue it's softer, in which case they are arguing, well, let me not say that because you could argue each way. Okay, it's a little confusing. Your comment is well taken, but let's move on. I can't add more than that. Your comment is well taken. You made a good point. It's just that they argue both ways, so it's a little too much for us right now. All right, hybrid versus adaptive. What is hybrid versus adaptive? So hybrid GA is a GA algorithm. GA approach is a GA approach where you add operators or requirements from the application domain itself. So this classic GA people, classic GA researchers resist at all costs. as I mentioned above. And they do. They resist the temptation at all costs. But they may allow adaptive GA. Adaptive GA is based on the classic approach. Sorry. Using standard crossover and or mutation operators. But will allow for tweaking of the parameters, will allow for dynamic changes in the parameters. So there are all types of these, and not it's not an all or nothing. People may say respectful yes, but other hybrid no. Some people will say adaptive, you can tweak some of the parameters, but some you can't. One of them we mentioned yesterday, right? We all intuitively felt that cut and splice is a dangerous crossover. It both neither has a definitive precedent in natural biological genetic science. It just doesn't. It's always the same size, which, as I said, is awe-inspiring. Why that's the case? Why not cut and splice? If it's just a soup of DNA strands from meiosis, mitosis, why don't you get these arbitrary lengths? You don't, though. You never do. So whatever it is, so they may allow some changes to some of the parameters, but not to the others. So, for example, one of the approaches, this brings us back, just for completion's sake, this latter adaptive GA. So, for example, this approach is what Lester Ingber, inspired by annealing, applied to GA. Well, he applied it to numerical analysis, but likewise applied it to GA. Originally he was talking about numerical analysis, but in later papers he applied it to GA. This approach is what calls simulated annealing. So what's simulated annealing in our context? So remember, annealing means you're smelting the ore, you're heating it up, and then as your heat increases, whatever metal melts at that point, the clump of other metal and residue falls, and the pure metal that just now melted is on the top. You scoop it away, heat it some more, and keep on doing it to separate all the layers of metals. Now, at some point, though, as I say, there's an bonding experience where, in theory, it should work, but it doesn't. So what do? You quickly, as I say, fast and furious 9. You hit reverse in immediate reverse and freeze it, and then quickly, before it has a chance to totally become solid frozen, you then go back and do it again. And you shake it up so that these artificial bonds are no longer there, and then you could go deeper and higher temperatures. And you keep on doing that for as much as you can, so that way you could remove as much pure metal ore as possible. Okay, how does that apply here? So what happens is, so for example, if however you detect this, but if you detect, okay, it's a different discussion. Later we'll discuss how you detect possibly, but that's a question. But if you do detect, let's imagine you do. So if you detect a plateauing, heading towards a premature convergence, what you will do, what kicks it, what shakes it up, so then automatically the system will suddenly increase the mutation rate by a sufficiently large amount to infuse the generation with new random genetic material. because that's what it does, right? It's based on random. So new random mix of genetic material. And for the GA, that is how you